Welcome to the It's Your Choice podcast, where we learn how to rewire our brains to live the life we desire. On with the show. Welcome to It's Your Choice podcast. Today on the show, we have Walter, the Dutch mentor, joining us today. Thank you very much, Walter, for your time today.
Thank you, Sally, for the invitation, and I look forward to a great conversation today.
Absolutely. So, Walter, with all of the things that you do in mentorship and helping people, how can I become a better version of myself?
Well, that's the $64,000 question, isn't it? It is, and a lot of people, interesting enough, don't really know what to do with that question. And it really is two things. They have lack of self-awareness, or really truly understanding what their true why is. And the second part is that many people don't dream big enough. So if you're missing your why and not deeply understanding your purpose and passion in life, and if you don't dream big enough, you're going to be shorting yourself. So you're going to be limiting yourself, and that is something I try to break through with my mentees. Always first, go to raise self-awareness, and once you understand who you are, and that is of course based out of your cultural upbringing and all of the experience and the actions and the results you have delivered up to this point in time. It is from that you start understanding, okay, what is it that I need to do, or what adjustments do I need to make in order to become the best version of myself, or to live how to live the fullest life.
So, are there specific questions that I should be asking myself to kind of figure out who I really am and what I enjoy? Because I find sometimes for myself, but there's just so much going on, and there's things that I have to do and need to do, things that I'm interested in. I can't do everything that I want to do. And I do have a bit of what I call shiny object syndrome, where I see something, I'm like, oh, I could do that because I believe I can do it, but I can't do all the things that I think I can do because there's just not enough time in the day to do everything that I'm interested in doing.
Yeah, listen, we all have a little bit of that, of course, and then it all depends on the person and how big of a dream it is that what you've been fantasizing about. For example, listen, when I started out as a healthcare provider, I said I want to be a CEO of a hospital, and everything I did at that point in time is really doing the gap analysis. What do I need to attain in order to be in the best position to become a CEO of the hospital? But as I got older, as I had kids, as I experienced life, I started shifting really away from wanting to lead a hospital and healthcare system to really wanting to make a difference in on the middle manager. Because on the end of the day, 90% of the front line in all industries report to the middle manager, and the middle manager gets the least amount of attention and development. So to go back to your question, what do I ask of my mentees? So once they have the foresight to actually get some professional help, or to an association to get some mentorship. But I really believe that if people to advance, they really should retain a mentor. And I always laugh about that is that, I spent $100,000 on my bachelor's, I spent another 50,000 on my master's, which is all theory based. And then they fall short of hiring a coach or mentor to help them over, to really finish up the last semester strongly and put it all into action. So that's the first breakthrough we need to see, is that people need to understand, and by the way, women are much better at this than men, to see that I need a little bit of help. And making an investment in yourself is a good thing. If you're not going to make an investment, I would always say, listen, go understand your why. And your why is not your what and how. So if I ask the people, tell me a little bit about yourself and what is your why, guaranteed that they will tell me the how and what. And they sometimes will take 10 minutes to tell me their what and how, but very little about their why. And why is that? Because they have never really put thought into what their why is. What is their, and I connect the four P's. What is the true purpose and passion in life on the heart level? And then what process and people do I want to work with? So I direct people, go to Simon Sinek, a TED Talk, 18 minutes long, one of the best that's available, and listen to him differentiate between the why, the what, and the how. That's number one. Number two is that I want you to come up with a commercial for yourself. And he said, people, well, commercial. He said, yeah, I want you to come up with a 43-second clip, 8 seconds of a hook, 30 seconds of meat and potatoes, and then another 5 seconds of closing it out. But that becomes your personal brand statement. And it takes weeks to fine tune that to the point that people can actually speak from their heart about their why. And I've had people who come to the realization that they're in the wrong line of work, that they're truly not passionate. And I'm not surprised by that, because one of the scariest statistics out there today is that nearly 72% of the people have told us in surveys that they don't really love what they do. Right, 40
It's
hours of the week, or really 40 years of our life, we're going to do a job we don't like. That's
it's
foolish.
crazy. It's
Crazy.
unbelievable. And when I talk to people, like, and I remember one time I had a friend of mine. This was quite some time ago. I mean, we're still friends, but at that time, she dreaded work, like hated and she would, dread all week being at work. She would look forward to Friday because last day, great, enjoy Saturday. And by Sunday evening, already dreading. And I just said to her, I said, you can't live like this. She's like, well, I've
No.
got bills to pay and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine. You'll find something else. Like, look at what you really owe, what you need, because that's another playing factor, I think, as well, is what do you need? What can you potentially sell, downsize, or do to be what do I truly need to then get me a kind of job or restarting at a lower wage to then be happy doing what you do, because we also don't need as much as we think we do. And when we're
For
happy
sure.
with work and life, we need less of the things that we think we need to make us happy.
Yeah, no doubt about that, right? Over time, we have become way too materialistic and forget about what the value of life is, which is really, family, friends, and spending quality time together, which brings real meaning to life. But so I'll take you back. So my question to any of my clients would be this: how do you feel at 8 o'clock on Monday morning? If you say, listen, I jump out of bed out of excitement, I can't wait to get into the car, go to work, and try to make a difference in the world, you're on the right track. If you are dreading to get out of bed and I have to do the same thing over again, I don't feel inspired, it's time to start, really doing a self-inventory and make an assessment, can I do better? Yes,
Mm,
listen, we all have bills to pay. And nobody's asking you to to quit your job tomorrow to go pursue your dreams, but
right.
you can go on a journey, and that's really
Mm,
what people need to do, is to learn to design a journey over time. I use a simple IDP, an individual development plan, for people. So write down, right? Don't just talk about it, but write down what is it that what's your current state, what do you do today, and what is it that you dream about in the next year or two, what do you dream about in the next 5 to 10 years, and then understand what is the difference between where you are today to where it is that you want to be. And if you say, listen, I don't have a clue, well, then we have a little bit more work to do, and that can be done through experimentation, right? Is either in your current role learning other things, or go volunteer, or go to get an internship. Find other things that you feel truly inspired about, and then develop a plan that fits your personal needs. And yes, we all can do with a little bit less, right? There's nothing wrong
mm,
with a lateral move. Too often our egos get in the way, that once I'm a manager, I need to become a senior manager. I need to become an associate director. I need to be an AVP. Well, that's not completely true. Some of the best leaders have taken many left and right hand turns along their journey, because that makes them better leaders. They have experience across the entire value stream. So you too can do that, right? It is.
right.
And listen, we have people who have gone back to school, medical school in their 50s, because they always wanted to be there but couldn't afford it, right? And vice versa. I've many physician friends who haven't practiced a minute in medicine, and you say, well, why is that? Because it was their parents' dream for them to become
Right.
doctors, but they are now working in innovation, or IT, or in finance. And that's the real meaning of life, is that do not stop dreaming, and of course take small actionable steps on a day-to-day basis to get a little closer to that dream in a responsible manner.
Right. And I say to people too, when they're unsure, to just try things. So I'm a huge fan of Coursera.org. There's all kinds of courses on there that you can take for free if you just want to learn. Like, I do a lot of things on there for free because I'm just interested in learning. But if you want that certificate and proof that you've taken it, that you're going to use, you can pay a little bit for that. And that's a great way to really try things. and sample to see if you're interested. I remember many, many years ago, I thought maybe I'll become a coder. There's lots of coding jobs in the world, and I'm used to working on my computer and stuff. And I went on there and took a coding course. Well, I very quickly realized coding was not for me at all. But I'm still to this day, I'm glad I took it because I learned things. I've had various websites and things that I could then go on and I know, oh, I can go in and fix this or I can adjust that. And then I've also known I don't understand what's going on. I'm going to hire somebody to do those things. And so I've got the knowledge, but it also eliminated the thought of that would be like, maybe I should do it, maybe I shouldn't, maybe I would like it. And when
Yeah.
I took it, then it completely eliminated it. And I never even thought about it again since then because I knew through elimination sometimes of what we don't want to do works and is important when we're trying to figure out what we do want to do.
Yeah, no, listen, experimentation, and that's so the courses that I offer to, I call it experiential learning because we're going to work on things on a weekly basis and you're going to experiment with those. And then through experimentation and learning to make things actionable and you learn how to measure things, you will find out very quickly what you're really good at and what you're not. So part of that, the discovery process of you developing your personal brand is to get a much deeper understanding of what are your differentiating strengths. What is your magical power? And again, if you ask people, they said, I don't really know. Well, I think I'm a good listener. Well, but that's again, in order to be able to be a standout, you really need to understand what is it that you do better than anybody else. And that is not you looking in the mirror and asking yourself, what am I great at? No, you need to go back and ask the question of 15, 20 people that you have worked with for or who are working for you and ask them, how do they perceive you? What do they see as your strengths? What do they see as your potential showstoppers, your blind spots? And through that learning, again, it's raising self-awareness, you get to know and understand yourself much better, which again is another building block in developing a pathway to happiness and fulfillment.
And sorry for the interruption. I just wanted to let you know about the Mind Matters weekly newsletter that is full of actionable tips to help you rewire your brain to live the life that you desire. Sign up for it at sallypederson.com. And when you do, you'll get the top 5 brain hacks for peak performance. Again, you can get it at sallypederson.com. Now back to the show. And I mean, that's such a good idea. And just like an hour ago or less than that, I was talking with a friend and she's been in corporate world for a very long time, 15, 20 years or something. And now she's looking at doing her own business and things. So she took a business course. And as part of it, she was saying at the end, every person had to individually stand up and everybody else in the class and course said things that came to mind when they saw them, like what they were good at. And she's like, they were saying all this stuff like, I didn't even realize, or I didn't even think of myself that way. And it's because that other people do see us and picture us very
Mhm.
differently than what we do and see for ourselves. So I think it's great to get that feedback, but it does have to be from other people.
Yeah, I always laugh by this. So before we start the exercise, I tell you have to do your own first. Then you take that and you put it into a sealed envelope and you put it away. Because that's your reality, right? And then you
Mm.
go out and ask 10, 15, 20 people about how they perceive you. Now, the key thing is not to react to everything that is being said to you, right? It's really about laying it down on paper and look for a trend amongst the many opinions that are there, above, to the side, and below you. But often people think, oh, my reality and the perception of me are like this. Well, the reality is, let me take it off screen. Often the difference between what you think you are and where the reality of where the perception of you is are two very, very different things. So learning to bring those back together, and that requires you to be show humility and communication and making sure that you go out and be vulnerable, raise EQ, being outward, all these different behaviors that come into play. And that really is another great difficulty of people, right? Change. People underestimate the difficulty of changing habits and behaviors. And if you want to ultimately reach your dream, and if you ultimately want to be that leader that you wish you had, it requires some behavioral changes that and including actions. And again, most people are not very good at that.
Yeah, it reminds me of a saying that I heard from Dr. Joe Dispenza. I'm assuming, I don't know if he was the first to say it, but that was the first that I heard say it was to change your, how does it go? To change your personal reality, you must change your personality. Because if you want something, and we are always kind of changing a little bit, some of us do get stuck with how we are, but if we want that promotion, if we want that other job, if we want to do something different, it's crazy to kind of think if I keep doing the same thing that I've been doing in 1, 3, 5 years, I will have something different because we won't. Like we need to change, whether it is change our behavior, change our habits, change things, learn new skills, learn new things. Like if we want something, we have to change to become the person that would achieve that goal.
Yeah. So interesting enough, on that there's actually a really good exercise that people can do, and this is rooted in fact. So there are four levels of us that gets to us to the result, right? So in the early years, 0 to 6, 7 years old, that is where we learn about our culture, right? Your father was 5 years old when he moved to Canada. He is Dutch, probably has some Dutch influences. So you were exposed to Dutch traditional things, maybe in a household, maybe a little Canadian, maybe whatever other.
Mhm.
But you become, right? You learn from others. You have no opinion. All you do is you repeat what is said, how it is done, and that's the basis of us. As we get to be 7, 8 years older, we start questioning our parents about the things that they have taught us, and right, the rambunctious, adolescence into teenage years. We gain experiences, right? And then out of those experiences, we start taking actions, and those actions give us results. So if you reflect back in the mirror today, say, listen, I'm not happy with the results that I'm getting today. Don't go back and do the same thing over and over and over and expect a different outcome, because Einstein supposedly said that is insanity, right? If you want to deliver new results, you have to take new actions. And if you need to take new actions, you're likely have to gain some new experiences. That could be through education, could be mentorship, it could be traveling the world. Does it make a difference? But you have to get new exposures in order to be able to generate new actions and then deliver new results. And that is very, very difficult for people to do. Why? Because we live in this world of instantaneous gratification, right? Everything has to happen
Mm.
now. And I'll give you a very simple exercise that to show people, to demonstrate this in the physical world. So if you pick up your pen with your dominant hand and you write your name, first name and last name, what does that feel like to you?
It's simple.
Normal?
I don't even think about it.
It
It's yeah,
looks the same,
easy.
right?
Yeah.
Now pick up that same pen with your non-dominant hand and you write down your first name and last name. What does that feel like?
Oh, it's awkward. It's a mess. It's hard to do. I can't really read the writing and it's going to take me a long time to try to do it. It's not going to be like 2 seconds.
And if I'm the boss and say, listen, from this point forward, I need you to write with your non-dominant hand, and I walk away, what are you going to do?
Well, I mean, I guess I'm going to have to continue if I want to keep my job, and it's going to take a long time, but eventually it will get better. Or I
The,
cheat and use the other hand, but he's going to know. So,
So
like,
no, man, that they only know when things go wrong, right? This because most bosses walk away. They say, "Do this, not that," and they only hear about it that something is not working when something breaks, right? That's normal behavior
right,
of humans.
right.
So yes, of course, there are a couple of goody two tissues who will do the right thing. But the message is this, right? We cannot go and tell people to do something different and expect them to perform. What we need to do is create safe environments and say, hey, listen, guys, there's a 120-day transition period to go from your dominant hand to your non-dominant hand. I'm giving you time every day for 15 minutes to practice with your non-dominant hand. If you practice it 15 minutes a day for 90 to 120 days, you'll be competent at that particular skill and you will be equal, you will be ambidextrous left and right. Now, how do I know that? Well, listen, surgeons are trained to work on both left and the right side of the operating table, and by default need to become ambidextrous. And they have showed over time that to change that physical, mental, behavioral pattern takes about 90 to 120 days. Some people get it in 60 days, some people get it, but it is the importance of continuous support of matters. So whatever change you go to in life, just make a difference what it is. Go to the gym, drink more water, meditate, go to church, go to synagogue. Just make it. We need to do it incrementally. And through that incremental change and rewarding ourselves for good behavior, right? We did well for 15 minutes, give ourselves a little dopamine. And by measuring the greens versus the yellows and reds and taking actions or consequences when you are not performing, will allow us to get to the top of the hill much sooner and find joy in it. And that is something that is very hard and difficult to grasp, but that is the key to success.
Yeah, and I think, as you said earlier, that it is really hard because everybody right now is so used to instant gratification and get it
Mm-hmm.
now, want it now. What's the easiest way, quickest fix to do it? So it's challenging. And I always say to people though, it's like you have to have patience and time. How long did it take us to learn to walk, to ride a bike? For some to drive a car. Some people learned really quickly, got good at it. Some people they never really get good at it.
Yeah.
But everything takes time. And when we're doing something new, it is awkward, it is hard, and it is frustrating, but that's everything we learn. And we tend to forget that we went through those stages when learning something new and doing something new. And I think we tend to forget because we stop doing new things.
And that's the message, right? Is that we need to challenge ourselves, especially if you don't if you're in a part that 72% not loving what you're doing, you need to go out and try new things. I told you before we started that my intention over the next phase of life is to be the best mentor I can be and impact lives. But more importantly, I would love to open up a flight school. So I learned how to fly an airplane in 2001, and I think I'm pretty proficient at it. But my real love was to fly helicopters, but I couldn't do it because I didn't have the money to do it. Eventually speaking, I finally found a way to finance my dream of becoming a helicopter pilot. Well, there's nothing more sobering to flying and learning how to hover. Yeah, it looks so simple having a helicopter in place and
Hmm.
still in the air. It's one of the most difficult things to do, and it takes everything inside of you to really learn, because you have to fly with two hands and 2 feet at the same time. Everything is moving at the same time, and you need to learn how to coordinate these things. You can get pissed off and frustrated, and you'll leave. You never come back. But if you learn to listen to all of the inputs, you learn to feel all the things, and then to take small countermeasures to the actions you are taking, learning to respond versus reacting to things, you too can learn how to hover over time. It might take somebody an hour, it might take somebody 10 or 15, 20 hours. It doesn't make a difference. But you need to continue it really is a deep assessment of self. Once you
Hmm.
master that, you prove to yourself, well, listen, now if I fly an hour per week for the next, 26 weeks, I too can fly in helicopter, right? And it is anything in life, if you follow that simple rule. But the problem is that we give up in that first 0 to 10 attempts. And because of that, we miss out tremendously.
And it is really sad when we hear people say, "Oh, I always wanted to blank," but and then they have a whole list of excuses. And
Yeah.
and sometimes, I mean, sometimes they're legit. Like as you said, at the time you didn't have the finances, but it was still your dream, and then you did some things to make it work and you found it and you made it happen. And I think not only is that for instant, like knowing that not everything is going to be that instant gratification, but knowing that sometimes it's timing. Just as you said earlier, you had these dreams and desires that you wanted, but as we go on into what I call different chapters of life, those things that we want and desire changes because we've had
Mhm.
different experiences, whether it's, then we get married and have kids, or then the kids leave home and now our desires and things change. Be like, oh, I want to try to do this. Oh, I'll wait a couple years till the kids are off to college and school. And then, but there's
Yeah.
things that we can build up towards that. And so it doesn't always have to be that is it. And I think too, sometimes with people, if they have lots of things that they want to try and do, they're worried about how they're perceived of, oh, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want, and they're like, well, yeah, 10 years ago you said you were going to do something and you never did. And there could be a variety of reasons why it didn't work, but also we change our mind. And it's okay to no longer want to do something and to do something different. And also because of the fact of things that we can do now, some of those jobs and skills and things weren't available 10, 20 years ago.
Mhm.
And what's available in the next 10 to 20 years. There's going to be things that just don't exist right now in jobs and experiences or different things that we're aware of, and they're just not available now. So it's okay to change and to be aware that in different chapters we want different things.
100%. Listen, you can never forget there's one life to live, right? And we only have so many, hours and days. Every day that goes by is 24 hours less, to live and get the full experience. So again, it comes down to dream big, act small, right? That does not mean that your dream cannot change along your pathway. It is taking calculated risk along the way to make sure that they are aligned, right? The purpose, the passion, with the people in the process that you want to work with. It is often it is based in culture that people get stuck into something, but you're in the driver's seat, right? It is that same. Mark Twain's best quote, and I use it every day of the week with people around me. 92% of the things we worry about never happen, but we spend
That's
an
true.
enormous amount of time worrying about things, right? So all that is waste. The other thing that you have to remember that what happened 5 minutes ago, I can't change. There's
Mm,
nothing I can do about that, right? So all I need to do is be present in my conversation with you today, now in this moment, right? And that is living in and now with Eckhart Tolle, great example. If you want to read a short book about how to be meaningfully present in the moment, it's phenomenal, right? And it is these pieces of the puzzle that if you start connecting to that and really deeper, having a deeper understanding, it will create opportunities for yourself, right? We are self-limiting, right? We die by
right.
excuses, right? It is that I say on my desk is 100/0 sign. And so, well, what does that mean? Is well, I take 100% responsibility and make no excuses, right? Because we
Oh,
are great at making excuses, but we should take
oh,
responsibility for every action.
absolutely.
And
And I
that's
think, I mean, it's most people just don't take responsibility.
they don't.
It's easy to blame the situation, to blame somebody else, to blame the boss, to blame the economy, to blame the whatever politicians are in charge, to blame everything except for the one looking in the mirror. Because even though we may not be able to control a lot of things that happen externally, how we respond, how we react, and then what we actually do is what we are responsible for. So yeah, we can use all kinds of excuses right now, um, because of who's in charge politically in various countries. We've had issues in Canada. You guys have stuff going on in the United States. I mean, France, Spain, like every country has got things, and it's
Yeah.
easy to say, and people will blame politically what's going on in the economy and everything else. But it's like, but there's still people that are doing really well given the economy, given the politics, given the everything that's going on. So what are you personally doing in this environment to have the life that you desire? And I think, as you said, coming back to the why is what you desire, not what your parents want or your friends. Oh, you'd be really good at whatever it
Hmm.
may be. Yeah, maybe you'd be good at it, but are you interested? Do you even want to do it?
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, it's a simple analogy. When I point a finger at you, what am I doing?
Pointing three back at yourself.
And don't never forget that, right? It is said. So the key thing is don't point fingers, right? Take deep personal responsibility. I teach leadership and I teach people how to become vulnerable, right? It is perfectly okay in front of your team to say, listen, I take responsibility for this failure. Fail fast, fail forward. People making fun out of, shamelessly making fun out of that, SpaceX blew a second Starship up last week. Well, listen, if you want to go to Mars, that's hard. You got to go out and try things out, right? It is the people who are willing to put things on the line and say it is okay to fail. Let's learn real quick, reiterate, and go out. Well, your life is no different. If you're going to stand on the sideline and hope that you will become whatever it is you dream about, well, listen, life will go by very quickly. And by the way, you will likely die younger than somebody who takes the risk, a calculated risk. I'm not saying you need to throw yourself into traffic, but you certainly need
Right.
to get into the traffic, right? It is you have to make sure you continue to explore and expand your horizons. People said I took when I bought my first house, I said I don't know nothing about real estate. So why didn't I before I buy a house? Why didn't I become a real estate agent? So I went out and got a real estate. So now I know everything about the basics of the business. Well, it helped me buy houses ever since, right?
Mhm.
It is go out and put yourself out there. Don't be afraid, right? And ask good questions. And that is really the opportunity in life. Interesting enough, we're talking about all kinds of things here. So AI is the future, right? It
Right.
is
Yes.
amazing how many people still have said, I don't know what it is. I said, every day you don't get engaged in AI on some level is a day that you're going to be falling behind, right? So
Mm.
this week alone, we went on to, we did an experiment. So we went to Grok 3.0, which is the newest release, but not on the typing in, which is ChatGPT and all the other ones. All good at that. This one is verbal. You can actually talk to a female or a male version of an assistant. You can ask it anything. It is absolutely amazing. We had a 90-minute cohesive conversation, and we learned so much in that conversation just talking to a robot, right? I mean, I remember growing up in Holland. If I wanted to know something, I had to go to an encyclopedia that sat on my parents' bookshelf, open it up, and whatever. My parents bought a new version every couple of years, so we're somewhat up to date. People don't understand if you need a counselor, if you need guidance, if you need to open up a business, just go online, talk to AI. It will tell you what you need to do or give you guidance on what you need to do. So
Right.
all of us need to open up our horizons and get involved. In order to learn new things. It's at our fingertips, but it requires an action.
Pardon the interruption. If you're liking the show so far, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. It really means a lot to me. It helps grow the show and the channel and to the show.
An action. Your part to
Absolutely.
do something.
Absolutely. And I mean, AI just being one thing and just that kind of that constantly learning, right? Whether it is
Yeah,
AI, I mean, we need to be on top of things or learning a new skill or a hobby that we like to do because so many people say, "Oh, well, when I retire." So they're doing the crappy job that they hate and they're like, "Oh, but then I'll have my pension and then when I retire, then I'm going to do XYZ." Well, sometimes people don't even get to that retirement because I've
yeah,
known that they've passed beforehand, whether it's a heart attack from stress or a car accident or a number of other things. But a lot of times, then by the time they retire, their work has been their identity, and their work, for the most part, has been most of their friends, their colleagues. But once they leave, they're just friends for that reason that they don't have the outside work friendship. And they end up not really doing anything because then they're like, oh, well, what am I going to start now? I'm retired. I'm not doing anything. And then they decline very, very quickly.
yeah. It's interesting. So the IDP, the individual development plan, uh, can be used for multiple phases, right? So if I work with somebody who's in their 50s, and I ask them, what is your big dream? Well, you can still dream about becoming that CEO or whatever you want to be, but you also have to start thinking about what am I going to do in my next phase? You and I both agree that the word retirement is a lousy term because it's really about how can I fulfill my passions onward, right? Maybe it's to play golf, maybe it's to build furniture, maybe it is to volunteer my time, whatever it is that you dream, what you want to do. But it requires some planning, right? If you want to
Mm,
retire, it requires a gap analysis. Where am I today? Where am I? What does the future look like? What does it cost in order to be able to live that lifestyle? And of course, retirement should really be taught in 12th grade in high school and teach basics of investment 101 in order to set these people up for success. Often 10, 15 years go by before they realize, oh, well, maybe I should. And that compound interest has gone, it prevented them from making $10,000 $1 million, right? But all
right.
these things require planning, and we should not get lazy about this stuff. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be, but asking good questions, setting yourself up for success, continuously on an annual basis, go back and say, okay, am I happy? Right? Am I 4 P's? Am I working with purpose and passion? Am I working with the people in the process I really want to? What does that look like for the future? What actions do I need to take today, tomorrow, and the day after in order to get one step closer to that? And that is really it's the key. It's the magical sauce. But it requires a time. People should seek mentorship, right? People have been there, done that, who can share the deep personal experiences, make a small investment in yourself. I promise you, the return on investment will be phenomenal, right? And that's a shortcoming of people that they don't see the function of that, and they end up kicking that can down the curb. Well, maybe next week, next month, another year. And I've had plenty of people come to me and say, "Well, I saw about you 4 years ago. I really wanted to join, but I couldn't afford it. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to spend the money. I just didn't see what." And now I'm 4 years stuck in the same job, and regret not having knocked on your door 4 years ago and made the investment in myself. Well, listen, for us, we're living in the now. Let's start and let's get your career moving in the right direction. But that's
Mhm.
the truth, right? The truth is that people will talk about actions, but they don't. And that's the next statistic: is 70 to 80% of the things we say we're going to do never happen, or they certainly don't happen to the fullest extent possible. And that holds true in just about every phase of life, personal and professional. And that's a
You
shame.
know, it is, and I mean, it's something that drives me nuts is I know people and I just say they just like to hear their own voice. It's lip service, and I can't be bothered to deal with people that are just lip service, and that's just
Mm-hmm.
talkers. They talk, talk, talk. And I really have been all of my life is your actions speak louder than your words. Don't
Yeah.
tell me what you're going to do, just go do it. Don't say, all of this stuff, then, just do it. If you say you're going to meet up with so and so and it's that simple. If you say you're going to meet up with so and so on a Friday, then go. And not if, oh, well, maybe I'm waiting to see if something better comes along. Like, things like that just they've always bothered me. And it's about taking action. And but that's about life. It is taking
Yeah.
action and doing things and realizing some things just don't work out. And I don't like the word failure because the only way that I think something is a failure is it didn't work. Not only like it didn't work, but you didn't learn from it. And then you're doing the same thing over again and doing it again, right? Like you have to realize, okay, well, that didn't work, but what if I change this little thing, try something different? Then, you learned something that didn't work. I mean, how many times did it take them to get the light bulb to work? Even as that excuse, the reason that you said with Musk of this other spaceship blowing
Starship.
up again, the second time it's happened. But I mean, how many times has he been to outer space and it's gone right and well? So then they know,
Yeah.
oh, okay, what didn't work? Now we need to fix it. Same when we've had vehicles and cars and stuff. They're
It's
still
all the
getting
same.
recalls for new things now that didn't work. They
Yeah.
need to fix it. And
Yeah.
so it's just part of that learning process. And we have to realize that those things are part of learning, and that's how we get better. And it's not a failure. So we need to kind of reprogram our mind for that. And also, I think a word that we really need to delete from vocabulary is should. I should do this. You should do that. She should, he should, they should. No, who says?
Yeah. No, no,
And
100%
why?
agree. Yeah, it is. Fail fast, fail forward, right? It is that
Mhm,
is really the motto. Every failure is an opportunity for improvement, and that's a mindset, right? That's a growth mindset, and that is something
mhm,
that people should strive for. Interesting enough, if you go into the brain itself, right, and as complex as we are somewhat simple as well. And then I have a couple of exercises I use with my mentees for that. But one is the fact is that when we see a problem, our brain has a solution in mind. And so you have to think about a key lock that is
mhm,
a problem. I will grab the same key and I go back and try to open up the padlock every single time. That's what we do. We are within that box. That is how our
mhm,
brain is trained. Our brain is so good that I can move my head real quickly, and my brain will fill in the blind spots with something, right? That's sometimes you look at something, you can actually not see a telephone pole that is actually there because your brain fills in the pieces. The problem is that also locks us in place and keeps us from innovating. So if you want to create something new for yourself, you have to look beyond what you know. It goes back to the
mhm,
culture, experience, actions, and result we talked about earlier. And that is, there's a 9 dot exercise you can do is 9 dots in a row, one, two, three, one, two,
mhm.
three, one, two, three. Connect all of those dots with 4 straight lines without going over any single one dot more than once. It is an exercise I've been doing with my clients and when I go on speaking engagements. Nobody has ever gotten, except for one person who already had done the exercise or Googled it, either one or the other. And
I'm
why
already kind
is
of trying
that?
to do it in my head. I'm thinking of it.
Try it out for yourself.
I
And
will.
when I go speak to people, say, listen, anybody who gets it right on the first try, I'll give you one of my books. Right? I'll tell you the same thing, or your audience for that matter. If you get the solution without cheating, email
Mhm.
me at thedutchmentor.com or dutchmentor@gmail.com. I'll be happy to send you a free book. The thing is that our brain is not programmed to think outside of the box. So
Right.
we are so locked into what we know, and we need to go beyond that. And that is really another area that, if you want to reach your dreams, and you need to look beyond the horizon.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Walter, if people wanted to connect with you and work with you, get some more information on some of the programs that you have, what is the best way for them to reach you?
So I made it as simple as possible. Simple, the DutchMentor.com. Go to my website, top right hand corner, or on your mobile device. Just go book an appointment, free strategy call. I love talking to people. Book a 30-minute slot. Let's talk about your journey, your career, your dreams, your aspirations, or maybe your barriers. I always say, I don't want to sell myself. I'm not going to sell myself. I want you to believe in the mission, your mission, and understand from the people that I've worked with, which are plenty of testimonials on my site to learn from. The other offer is that on my website, I publish either an article per week that will help you instigate some thinking, or I do this similar to what you do is a podcast to stimulate conversation. And I welcome anybody to come join me on Thursdays at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for an open coaching call. You can access it right to my website, or you can, connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll post it there on a weekly basis on Thursdays as well. And we have a conversation. Sometimes we have 2 people show up. Sometimes we have 40 people go show up. But I promise you the conversation will always be stimulating. It's always action-based, because on the end of the day, me talking, you talking results into nothing. It's small actions that you can take to help you get one step further along your journey.
Absolutely. The doing is the most important part.
Yeah.
Well, and I'll make sure to have the link to your website in the show notes to make it easy for everybody who's watching or listening to connect with you. So thank you very much for your time today, Walter.
Thank you, Sally. It was a great conversation. I hope that you stay warm up in Calgary, Canada, and success with your journey along the way. And I look forward to connecting again in the future.